amigas.
How's everybody doing?
We're doing good. Loving the book. Sad
Awesome.
that it came to an end. I
Yes.
think, if anyone follows us on Instagram, we did a live, and I think she left us with some really great stuff that we'll be pursuing in the future,
Oh,
right? So
yes.
it's the end of the book, but not the end of us with this author and the work
With
itself.
joining Diosa
Yes,
Hood. Yes.
definitely.
Gonna continue it, and we highly, highly encourage it to all of our amigas to check out her website and join something. There's Diosa Hood, there's Masterminds. What else? A spirit healing.
Yeah, she has healing circles, which is really
That's
just
amazing.
amazing. Um, and her virtual Diosa Hud is a membership, so I think that's going to be amazing too. It's ongoing.
Yes. And
Um,
I want to say our podcast should be posted before the end of March, right? So she's gonna have a deal for the monthly for you to be grandfathered in for $33.99, I believe. After that, it goes up to like 90 something. So it's a deal,
yes,
guys.
so everyone
Take
get
advantage.
on that.
Christine is amazing.
Yes. So for our last podcast, the last one.
We're starting chapter 9 all the way to the end of the book.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah, like Jess said, this is bittersweet. But honestly, a book that we can come back to work on ourselves again with different things that we're going through, right, Jess?
Yeah, so at the end of the book, she really talks about the stages of change, and one of the things that happens is we get to what is called the active stage of change, and with the
Mm-hmm.
active stage of change is kind of where maintenance comes in, and with maintenance is kind of going back, right,
Right.
and redoing some of these activities. She does recommend that if there was an activity that maybe you didn't get to, or there was one that really stood out, to go back,
Mm-hmm.
to really continue to look at your journal, so that you continue this soul work ongoing.
Yeah. So for chapter 9, one thing that really I think stuck to me was it's about talking about don't ever, well, the quote that she puts in the beginning of chapter 9 is don't ever stop believing in your own transformation. It is still happening even on days you may not realize it or feel like it. Lala Delia.
And it's interesting because I had this conversation with you guys, how for me personally, I just live in the moment and the future, and sometimes looking back and being able to see how much I've grown, it's true. Sometimes the really small day-to-day changes are actually what leads to the transformation.
Yeah, you kind of just talked to us a little bit
Mm-hmm.
ago about this and share your experience on 75 Hard.
Yeah,
So that was
definitely.
something that helped you figure that out, right?
Yeah, and it was great that I was able to read this book while doing 75 Hard, because one of the activities for 75 Hard is reading 10 pages a day of something that's going to motivate you, change you, or help you grow. And it was just such an alignment. I was eating healthy, working out very hard, and reading this book. It kind of all just was really like a change mentally, physically, spiritually, all at the same time. Because
Mm-hmm.
this brought in the component of spiritual, so it really did help me. And like I told you guys, taking a daily picture and having to look back, I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize how much I've changed.
The
Right?
process of change
Yeah.
every day helps, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Well, for me in this chapter, I think what really stood out for me was that activate your healing process. And the way she described it was, healing your soul is just like healing a wound on your skin, like on the surface. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same process.
Mhm.
So she gives you a breakdown of it, and kind of like you said, gives you different stages of how to heal. So a lot of the wording too, I was like, oh, like hematosis and this
So
inflammation.
page 179 and on.
Yeah, from one page 179 and on. So I was really like, oh, okay, like it's a lot, like coming from the nursing background.
Yeah. And so the
That's
crazy
true.
thing about this, have you guys ever heard of broken heart syndrome? How you can die of a broken heart?
I've heard of the saying.
Yeah, right. You can die of a broken
Right.
heart. So when you're in so much emotional pain, what happens is your body actually gets inflamed, and it does it so much that your heart
Hurts.
can actually break, not break, but it gets constrained and you can die of a broken heart. It's real.
Wow.
Your emotional pain activates the same receptors as physical
It's like
pain.
tú sola te enfermas, right?
Del dolor.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's really the mind and the body, they're one. They do not separate ever. And I think a lot of times we think they do,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't.
Yeah, they're so
Right,
connected.
because if people are going through heartbreaks and their heart is aching, then your mind is obviously aware of that, and then maybe that's where the mental health takes place.
Yes, yes. So your emotional health is so, like she says, right? Like these stages are very, they can be very physical, and it is like a physical wound.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, she did a great job identifying each and one of them. So, and the fact that she said it's always okay to get back on track. Like,
Yeah, I was looking at that one right now. It's on page 183. I highlighted these feelings are natural, but they don't emerge from your truest truth. They emerge from that destructive inner critic who wants to hold you back from pursuing your best life. It's
Yeah.
that inner critic that at one point she talked about it in the beginning that it was coming up to her. And she said, what did she say? She said, son of a bitch, this inner critic knows how to go in. And she put in commas, insert ghetto girl clap.
yes,
And I was like, oh my God, yeah, like that little inner critic takes over of us sometimes and is a little bitch.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And it's because it knows us the best, so it knows exactly where to attack.
Yeah.
Like it knows where to pick, like, and
It's
it.
almost like I picture like the little devil and the little
Mhm.
angel, you know? And that inner critic is the devil que nomás te quiere atacar and bring you down and push those buttons that knows where to hurt you.
Yes. Yeah. I also highlighted the emotional safety plan.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
So that one's really good. So what she talks about, so as therapists, we do what are called safety plans, and usually safety plans are what we do for clients that are high risk of suicide. So when you're in high risk of suicide, you don't have time to think about how you would rescue yourself. So you write a plan so that when you're going through that moment, you don't have to think about what to do. You just read the plan and you do whatever it says.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love this because she used it as an emotional plan. So when you're going through a really emotional time, you look at your plan instead of trying to figure out what to do.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That
no,
is
I yeah,
a
and
good
honestly,
structure.
she made me realize how important it is to journal.
Mm-hmm.
Like goodness, like everyone should be journaling. Like words are powerful, even if they're your own.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to like reading it also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what Christine also mentioned in our live that, she wouldn't read much on books, but poetry or even her own journals or people's journals.
Mm-hmm.
It's helped her. That's
Right. So,
interesting.
can I acknowledge the fact that she started off saying that she's never been an avid reader or a self-help book,
Mm-hmm.
reader, and so I think that's great because it resonates with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said poetry, which was, something that I'm like curious to maybe read more or get in touch with that. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're almost there because we like a lot of quotes. And almost like quotes can be poetry,
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I agree with her. I think you guys know this about me. I'm like, I got a master's and had never read a book. So, like, for me, I wasn't much of a reader. And she said it's mostly experiential, right? Things that I've experienced in life. And I will say that a lot of what we read, I'm like, to me, it's like, oh, that's what I say. Oh, that's how I think. Oh, that's how I live my life. But,
Mm-hmm.
and I had someone one time, I was just telling them something and they were avid readers. Like you guys know that I have a lot of friends in the
Mm-hmm.
self-empowerment world. And he was like, "What book did you read that in?" And I was like, "No, those are my words. Like that's what I believe. That's my life." She always said how she would read all these books and then she would say, "Oh my god, that's what Jessica said. Oh my god, that's what Jessica said." She's like, "You already say and do all the things these books say." But I will say I agree with her. It's just like kind of experience.
Yeah,
yes.
that is funny, amiga.
Yeah, so the soul work really hit me on this one because it was just mainly like being aware and listing because let's say for page 188 she said list the reasons why you want to continue to heal and work on yourself, list some things you look forward to or bring you joy. And although it was a lot of digging, and I think that's what I struggled with this book, digging things out. And the soul work at first was like, yeah, I got it, I'm doing it. And then I kind of didn't do it throughout the book. And then I'm like, okay, it's the end of the book. I have to do some soul work. I have to really. And like I said, a part of it was I'm like, I need to see a therapist, guys. So I'm letting everybody know I'm gonna see a therapist after this. I really it was a wake up call, and I'm taking that step. So
Yes.
I hope other people from the soul work realize a lot about themselves as well.
Definitely. And I mean, it's like she says, and it's honestly, when people ask me who needs therapy, I say everyone needs therapy.
Yeah.
There's really no one that doesn't need it, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's almost like just like natural, you know. We all have problems, and it's okay. And it's okay not to understand them sometimes, and that's where you need guidance or help from somebody that's licensed.
Yeah,
Right,
definitely.
because like us, right? I feel like we have a great circle, and we surround ourselves with very inspiring women, and it's easy to just be that for someone else, but you're not for yourself. So
Oh yeah.
on page 191, she says, I knew I wanted to include this chapter because too often self-help books minimize the messy, the raw, the slip-ups, and the relapse, and the non-linear nature of the journey. It is essential for me as a therapist and healer to normalize the journey. Normalize the moments of messy, the moments when we forget to choose in alignment with our soul. The moments our triggers get the best of us. So, yes, guys.
Yeah, and I think with self help, what I struggle with is toxic positivity. Um, yes, things are always going to get better. I agree. We're all going to heal and we're going to get better. However, if we don't sit in the messy, if we don't sit in the pain, if we don't feel it and acknowledge it, it doesn't just magically go away. And I think that's the hard part sometimes with self help, that they miss that part where it's like, and they feed you this belief that everything's always going to be good and you just have to be positive, and that's not real.
Yeah, you're not sinking into the reality.
There's
Yeah.
so much more to it.
Yeah, and
It's almost
not
like masking it, right?
it is masking.
Right. Like where I feel like it kind of helps you create the blockage or kind of avoid the emotions that you're really feeling, or not identify and really be self-aware of what you're feeling.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think that's the hard part of self-help. I realize that I see it in my practice. I see it with my own clients. The other day someone brought in The Secret, and I said the only problem I have with The Secret is it's the second step, not the first one. Right. Positivity, great. I agree. The power of thought, 100%. It's all I do, all I teach. However, first, let's acknowledge the problem.
Your feelings, your emotions, triggers, trauma.
Yeah, what's that created? Just being self-aware, huge. So then chapter 10.
She dives into self-love.
Good one. It's a good chapter to end this book, because I feel like we've always been an advocate of self-love, right, with self-care, and I feel like this book club represents that. We always want people to take a moment for self-care and read. But what else stood out from you guys in this book?
I think, is this at the end where we go from our shadow word to our light word? So at the end, you go through the infinity circle again?
Yeah. Well, this one she starts off talking about the story with her friend Andrea, and where, she's dating this guy.
Soul work.
And she isn't giving herself the value she needs to give herself, and the guy's just kind of using her. She's kind of dismissing. He's not giving her her place as a diosa. And I think this is where she introduces her husband as well, and she gives a lot of insight from what her husband had to say, Fernando, and kind of like calls out the girl and says, "Hey, you need to give yourself your place."
And I think she talks a little bit more about like the retreats, right? Like her groups and her circles. And I think when she's talking about self-love, it's like once you learn self-love, then that's how others will love you. Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's when
it
she
all
talks
falls
about
into your relationships around.
Yeah, so that's the example of the story she gave in her book, where she was like dismissing it, and she wasn't giving herself her place and not loving herself, devaluing her. So, let no fuck boy who wasn't, come around and not treat you like
Definitely.
a queen.
Yeah.
That one.
And I think that goes into all our relationships,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? It goes into all of our relationships. Like, if you have really flaky friends, if you have people in your life that are toxic, like, once we learn to love ourselves, those people won't be the type of people we allow into our lives.
Right. You
Right.
set the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At the end of that chapter, her quote at the end says, "I am no longer available for settling. I am only available for high value relationships that honor my worth and soul and Diosa divinity."
Yes. Is this the
That's
one
so
where she
good.
does the soul work with all the things that I no longer allow?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that one was good. That one was hard for
Yeah.
me.
Where is it at?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I already have so many boundaries and so many good relationships in my life
Right.
that I already don't allow a lot of things.
You put a stop
I
to
thought
this.
I had all the boundaries set in stone, but I also, I cut a friendship that I've had since childhood a couple months ago, and I didn't think it affected me a lot until now reading this book, where I'm like, okay, be proud because it was really a good move. I was in, it's like, did I make the right decision? Did I not? But I feel good and I feel at peace. My household feels at peace with it too. So, and I feel like I put myself first, and that's actually big, where it's like
Yes.
boundaries are
Mm-hmm.
huge. And
Yeah.
again, I thought I was good at it, but you're not really.
I know I digged and I found some too. Um, I think sometimes I'm really good at rationalizing, which is in therapy we say that that's a negative coping strategy because I can understand why everyone does what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use that to justify a lot of things. And so
Mhm.
that's what I found that I'm like, okay, well, yes, I understand this is why you do it. That doesn't mean they should be in my life.
Right,
Right. Yeah.
And I find
That's
myself
funny.
doing that a lot.
Yeah, me
justifying
too. Now that you
people.
mention, I'm just like, wait, oh, I do
Yeah,
that.
no, but they're doing this because of that.
Yeah.
And it'll be me feeling sorry for them, but it's
Right.
like she says in the book, like, they got to bring value to you too, right? It's like, it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point she says, and by allowing this type of behavior of others, then that teaches them that they don't need to change. Right?
Mhm.
We're enabling them.
Right.
Right.
It's okay to continue that.
Yeah.
Like today, ladies, I put a stop to something. So
So
I
she went
always
off on
drive
us.
from far. I have an hour drive every time we meet up for these podcasts, and I always stress on having to drive so far. So I'm like, I'm giving myself enough time in case I get traffic. But luckily, God's on my side and lets me get here early, and I get to catch up on reading or my makeup, whatever it's needed. Sometimes even some coffee runs for my girls. But they are always late, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like,
We were so
this
proud of
is
her.
like in their hood. And today was just like, I
I'm
noticed
done.
Jess even gave me a 30-minute, later start time.
Yeah, I told her later.
And I saw that she only sent it to me, so I was like, okay, she either didn't tell Nady or they talked about it. I wasn't too sure, but I was like, okay, it was just towards me. But I get here and none of them are still here. And then they do get here, but they're still doing their makeup. And I'm like, okay, let's get it going. And then they're still just taking their time. I'm like, okay, you guys, this is it. Like, I still, get here so early. What
and
the
we're
hell?
proud of her. I think.
Yeah, set your boundaries.
Yeah,
girl.
set your boundaries.
Les
Like,
dije, next time I'm going to take my time y voy a llegar tarde.
yes. So voicing your boundaries is so important because it allows people to continue to take their actions.
Yeah, a ver si
Yeah.
para la otra llegan temprano. I'll keep you guys posted.
La que llegue tarde compra café.
No, más tarde va a llegar.
Es que llegue tarde por el café.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pick up coffee, guys, on my way over here.
And chapter 11 jumps into that. No is a necessary magic. No draws a circle around you with chalk and says, I have given enough. Boundaries. Yeah, so chapter 11, I mean, it was a really good. It's a let yourself be vulnerable, which also brought me back to the book that we read with
Dare to lead.
Dare to Lead with Brene Brown.
It's all about the
vulnerability.
therapist, guys. That was an LCSW. This is an
Yeah.
MFT.
Man, it's almost like we're ready to be therapists.
I
We've read all the
know,
good
right?
books of these
We really
therapists.
should consider it.
Yes, which I actually am. I just started back
Yay!
into
So excited.
college and first time attending college, starting from zero.
Yeah,
So it's
so proud of you,
exciting.
Mia. The changes we've made during this book, huh? I
Yeah.
quit my 9 to 5.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
amazing.
Right, and it talks about the attachments, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
When she was talking about that, she does talk about the toxic work,
Mhm.
right? And I was like, oh my God, I finally did it. I quit.
You did. You did. So
That's awesome.
And taking the risk and the leap of growing my own practice and my own business, like
Yeah.
I finally did it.
And it felt good.
And you started school.
And I started school. I always thought like it's late, but I don't know, starting it just feels right. I don't care if it's late. I don't care about my age because I've also learned that there's never a right time.
100%.
Never
yeah.
a right time. It's what makes sense to you, you know? And this is my time. This is right. I am excited to be in school and I enjoy it. I told you guys I was joining all kinds of clubs.
Yeah.
I'm like excited.
And
I'm
I
like
think
in 3 different clubs.
I think when I did my undergrad, it was like I was younger, so I was like run, 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 run. And then when I was doing my master's program, I had already taken time off school, and then I went back, and it's so different. Like I was 27, 26, 27. So like you enjoy it more.
Mhm.
When you're younger, it's more about getting it done.
Yeah, it's almost like a chore, you know?
Definitely. And I feel like I wish I could redo my undergrad sometimes because I didn't really.
Embrace the knowledge at the moment. I agree. Yeah, no, I think this book has brought a lot of self awareness to us, and it's helped us make decisions in life, like we just shared.
Mhm.
So I think it's awesome. And on page 222, she says awareness allows for transformation, and the willingness to seek help to make the changes allows for the change to stick and new behaviors and patterns to be born.
Yeah. I tell everyone, and I mean, if anyone follows my therapy page, awareness, awareness, awareness. Like when my clients are like, I just realized all this. What do I do now? I'm like, well, realization, like awareness is without it, we get nowhere. Because if you can't see something, why would you fix it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yes, yes. So the next chapter.
I think that's close to the end already. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Coming back home to self. Diosa rituals. Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet.
And I think so. Some of the rituals in this one, and she talks about it in the live she did with us. She does the tantra, right, where you explore your sexuality, and she goes into like if you feel comfortable utilizing even like masturbation, and I think that's kind of where we asked her, what would you say to someone who spiritually is more of a part of a religious organization or that belief system? Like, what would you tell them about this? And she said, if that's not part of your belief system, honor your belief system,
Yeah,
which
what
I
feels
love.
right. Yeah. What feels right is going to work for you.
Yeah.
As
She
lo-
talks about her Diosa retreat.
Mhm.
And I honestly would love to do it, guys.
Yeah.
I
And the cool thing
know.
is, I think, I don't know. We really advise everyone, like, if you can get your amigas to join you on these paths, don't. Sometimes we go on them alone, right? And that's why we created
It's needed,
this space.
Mhm.
We created this space so that more women can come together. But I think the three of us really try to do some of these things together, and it
Yeah.
really does. It's a different experience when you do these things with your girls.
It is because, I mean, that's great as an individual. You go and you seek these things, you do it for yourself. But for us, I think we enjoy doing it because we have the accountability of each other. But also to see each and one of us grow, I think makes us happy. Like, for us to evolve, like, and see that, I'm like, oh, like.
Yeah, it's almost like we learn off of each other. It's like, oh, cool, cool. You learned that. You mastered that. It's like, show me now.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. And that's where we all get the help and kind of.
Yeah. So, I mean, doing these retreats, if you are going on your own, you're going to grow and build a community within that system too, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love
Yeah.
the ritual she went through, right? She went through singing, writing,
Mhm.
right? And I know for me, the other day, I was like, I knew I had to drive somewhere. And I was like, okay, voy a poner. I put on Pandora La Banda Recodo station. And
Mhm.
I just like, if you ever play that station, you know every song,
Oh yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I always play when I'm cooking or something.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because to me, like, I love being in my car and having like a mini concert where I just like
Sing at the top of
Yes.
sing
your
at the top of
lungs.
my lungs.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
And it brings back, like, childhood memories
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
at
that's what she was
home,
talking about.
parties.
And I do
Yeah.
remember, like, I remember turning up the music as loud as possible when I was a kid and just dancing and twirling and jumping in my room, like,
Mm.
because we all love dancing. That's
Yeah.
something that we've always.
We love
That's
it.
kind of how we all met, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
We wouldn't get
During.
out of the clubs.
Yeah. Good times were
We
Yeah,
lived
dancing.
there.
yeah. So she goes over some really good ideas for rituals to
Yeah.
continue this
There's
process,
movement
right?
as medicine, song as prayer, journaling as freedom, art as healing, prayer as connection, and seasons as rhythms.
Yeah.
A lot of good ones.
It's so cool. I love that it offers like so much different things, so you're not just
Mhm.
stuck like, pues, ¿cómo le hago? I never
Mhm.
done that, and or like you said, what works for you. Like it's open to that. You don't have to follow this because this is what worked for her. She gives you options to do it your own way, or even like the dancing and all, journaling. You have options. Don't feel like you're stuck. Like there's
Yeah.
ways to figure this out and try it and do it.
Okay.
And then chapter 13.
Oh, the last one.
Yeah. So I think out of this chapter, I mean,
I think let's explore the light word because I think that's the most, it's such an awesome way to end the book. Like
Mhm.
she says, look, you've read the book, you've done the soul work, you've done all these activities, you've opened yourself up to this experience. You were able to dig into the wound of your shadow word, right?
Yeah.
And I think our shadow word was something that, we were like stumped by, right?
Mhm.
And I think when we saw our light word, we were really excited,
Yes.
right? So mine was, what is it? One with soul,
with
with
spirit.
spirit, and I love that because I've always seen myself as a very free spirit, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I,
Do
I,
you remember your word?
oh yeah.
Free?
So my word was unlovable, right? And then when I did, I don't remember what activity, the wound work, where we had to, and some of the things that hold us back, and one of mine was, I'm too much, right? And it was interesting because my word was unlovable, but when I wrote my poem, I hadn't gone to the too much, but when I thought about why unlovable, it's because I'm too much. I'm too loud. I'm too outgoing. I'm too free. So then when we get to the light word and it's one with spirit, it's not that I'm unlovable or too much. It's that I am one with my spirit. So I'm always flowing. I'm always going.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I love this. Like,
It makes more sense,
and
right?
and it was a process to go through the whole thing and then get to that word, and it was like it felt so right.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
you?
What was our word, Vero?
Ours was, oh my God,
Bad.
bad. Yeah. That we don't want to be looked at
Yes.
or portrayed as a
Oh, how
bad
can we forget
person.
that? Yeah.
Yes. That one hit the nail in the coffin on us. Like, ouch.
So I went ahead and did it, and I got healed, which is a whole 360, right? From bad to healed. But as I shared earlier, I feel like reading this book really made me aware that I need to seek for therapy. And so I'm like, okay, well, wow, I just said it. Like the universe knows. Like
Yes.
I want to definitely look into doing some therapy because I'm not healed, but I think that's a sign of me saying you're headed the right way.
Yes. I
Mhm.
love that. Yes.
Yeah, so my word was also bad, and my light word landed on clear sight diosa. And I feel like this really also speaks to me. I started school, and school has never really been on my mind because I never knew what was my purpose and what to go for. And now starting college is the reason that I found, and I feel good about it, that it's my purpose to go into being a therapist or a counselor, something in that field of helping people, because that's all I want to do. I want to help people. I'm like the voice of reasoning in my home. So it feels good. It feels right. And it's just, if it's a clear sight, then that's what I want to
Yes.
do. I also have, I've never been against it. And I'm always like encouraging everybody in my house, like, you need to see a therapist. Talk to the therapist when you have that question. But now, and I know I've also needed it because at times I'm always lost on how to help people out when they need something. Yeah, so I've decided to also get into my own and start getting therapy.
Awesome.
And the cool thing, I didn't even know, but I found out that paying your student services in the college that I'm attending, they give you 10 free sessions with a therapist. And right now they're doing e-therapy. And I was
So
like,
I
I'll take
think
it.
I think shout out to anyone that doesn't know, but if you are in college, as you pay your health fees in California, it is
Mm-hmm.
free. So you get about 8 sessions. And if the therapist thinks that you need a longer treatment, then they will give you resources to find a therapist in your community.
That's awesome. I didn't know that when they announced that. I like this little in my club. A lot of students were like, I didn't know. And there's also even like medical. There's even like some dental. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, really
Yeah.
take advantage
Yeah,
of
guys. So
stuff
if
in
you're paying your
college.
health fees, just know you got resources.
Yeah.
Ooh, looking forward to our therapy talk.
That'll be for another podcast.
All right. So, again, thanks to Christina. This is an amazing book.
Yes.
And so excited to continue this journey. Remember that it's ongoing. It's not something we're done with. It's, ever going. And stay tuned for the new book. Excited for what's coming.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
brunch.
A lot of things coming.
And join our brunch to, have more discussions about it.
Yes.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank
Yes,
you.
follow, subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, hit the
Subscribe button.
subscribe button and the little alert thing. What is that thing called?
Yeah, notifications.
The notifications.
And
Okay.
bring your amigas in with you.
Yes, our new book is starting, so bring in your amigas so that you all start at the same time.
And we're planning a lot of good stuff. So stay tuned.
Yes.
A lot of exciting things happening.
Definitely. All right. Bye, amigas.
Bye.